How y'all doing? We're going to be doing some cooking today. So what I've got today is ramen. This isn't your typical ramen. This is something that I was able to find in a Japanese grocery store. Let's take a look. And we've got from the Myojo brand. It's miso ramen. It's a typical flavor of ramen in Japan. The major difference between this kind of ramen as opposed to this kind of ramen, you know, the noodles are hard, they're freeze-dried. This is the major difference. You can see these noodles, they're never freeze-dried, they're fresh, they've been refrigerated, sometimes they're frozen. And then this is what you call, this is the base, your soup base. It's not powder, so you can see it's oil. So I'm going to show you really quick how you cook up some really good Japanese ramen. We've got the scallions, a little bit of corn, bean sprouts. Got them all washed, all cut up already. So I have some sesame seeds to show you how to get that all nice together in this pan. Which I'm going to start to boil. It's already warmed up. And I've got a full pot of boiling water. This is probably the most important thing here. You want to have a full pot of boiling water right before you start doing this, because this is actually going to use more water than you would expect by cooking the bean sprouts first, or the moyashi. So I've already washed them, which is obviously important. Pretty easy. Bring it to a boil and drain them with a little strainer. Also a couple spices that are going to work. If you can find this in your local Japanese grocery store, it's shimi togarashi. It's a nice spice. Other things that people put in their ramen, especially in Japan, would be like a hard-boiled egg. That always tastes good. I'm not big on it, and I just didn't have the time to do that today. You may want to consider something that you would call chashu. Now this isn't real chashu, it's just pork thinly sliced and cooked. So actually what I'm going to do, and this is to stress the importance of having a pot of water boiled. Then I'm going to drain the bean sprouts. I'm just going to throw the beans into the pot. This is what I'm going to use to eat my ramen. Rather than filling the pot with water from the tap, I'm just going to use this water that's already nice and hot to cook the ramen. And that way I'm not wasting any time. So I have the beans. The pork's probably going to go in last. This is the part that I like. Not be the most authentic step of them all, but adds a good flavor to the ramen. So you want to heat up your pan. You don't need to spray it with anything. You don't need any oil. You're going to basically put as much as you desire of the sesame seeds in the pan and toast them. And then once they're toasted to a level that you want, you're going to put in about 1.5 cups of water. Now I'm going to pre-measure the water. So you can see 1.5 cups of pretty warm water. It's probably warm enough for the soup base. You can turn the water off, the heat off on the boiling pot. Probably won't need any more. This is probably nice and warm by now. Also, don't forget to add salt to your water for your ramen. Let's add some sesame seeds. Okay, you don't have to go overboard with the sesame seeds. I'd toast them until you get a good amount of oil in there. Should be able to move them around. But then once you get to the point where you can't move it anymore, you should be all set. You can smell the sesame seeds. So that probably means it's about time for the water. Slowly add the water. You can hear it. And I would actually add just a little more water, because it is going to evaporate. Get sesame seeds everywhere. It's going to evaporate a little bit after it cooks, and you are probably going to get a little extra flavor from the sesame seeds. I would probably throw in your corn. Frozen corn literally takes 2 minutes to cook. Put your corn in, bring it to a boil. This would also be a good time to throw in the miso paste. Comparing it to the dry paste, this is fresh. Should be refrigerated. So this is what you've got so far. Something like that. It's good so far. I think we can get this done in 3 minutes. The only thing I have to do is, it's going to take a little bit of time to warm up the beef, or the pork rather, so it's warm enough to eat, but this is pre-cooked. In the time that's left, we're also going to throw in the moyashi, or the bean sprouts, back in here. We're also going to take a little bit of the hot water that I have from the pan, pour it in here. The one thing I think is extremely important is having a warm bowl to eat your ramen from. Alright. Now it's time to cook the ramen. Think of ramen like pasta. You wouldn't drink from the pasta water that you cooked. Time it. I'm going to do 245. 245. This is pretty much done. I could simmer this. That simmer. I'd say about halfway through, say like a minute and a half or so. That's about time that you want to really start breaking it up. And I'd say when we have about a minute left, we're going to put in, I almost forgot, we can put this in. We just have just a little time. I'd say keep the scallions or the negi. Keep it to the end. You don't want the onion flavor to overpower your ramen. Got about a minute left, so I'm going to start by putting this in. It's just about enough. And give that ramen a shake. We've got about 15 seconds, so I'm going to move this over here. I'm also going to dump out the water. Let it nice and warm. I put the ramen in first, typically. Give it a shake. And it is time to drain the ramen. Put it back over. Let it drain. And you can see that's what you come out with. Nice and fresh. Definitely has a different consistency as compared to your dried ramen. And I've warmed this up once again. What I do, take your ramen, whatever excess water you got, put in your bowl. Here in Boston, the Boston area, turn that thing off. Local store, couple in Brookline, if you're familiar with the area, as well as one on Newbury Street, Cherry Mart. It's a pretty popular place. Most of them are Japanese owned. We've got our scallions, the corn, chashu. If you can find chashu, I haven't been able to find chashu. I had to cook my own. You typically can find chashu in the Japanese grocery stores, but I'm telling you, they go out of stock fast. Go early in the week if you're looking for it, if you want real ramen. But this is what it is. Enjoy.